Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Fantasy Pros Dynasty Football Podcast. I'm Ryan Wormeli, joined by Pat Fitzmaurice and by Scott Bogman. We are talking some post-NFL Combine Dynasty rookie rankings. We'll talk a little bit about how some of these guys go head-to-head against other positions, but we're mainly going to be going position by position here. So looking at the rookie quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and tight ends, and seeing kind of how guys have risen, fallen, stayed the same coming out of the combine here now that we're really fully into March and the Dynasty rookie season. Quick reminder for everybody that all of our 2026 consensus rankings and tiers can be found at fantasypros.com/rankings. From there, you can navigate to the Dynasty rankings as well. Also, I want to let everybody know that if you're listening to the audio version of this show, we just launched the brand new Fantasy Pros Dynasty YouTube channel. We'll bring you rookie rankings, Superflex strategy, startup draft, and trade advice all year long. If you're building for the future, this channel is built for you. Just search Fantasy Pros Dynasty channel on YouTube and hit subscribe. Fitz, how are you doing on this fine Thursday morning for me, afternoon for you?
Doing great. You're driving people to our YouTube channel. The only thing that might discourage them is that they have to look at my face, especially since we've had a let's say sick dog the last couple of nights, who I have had to be outside with like 3 times in the middle of the night. So like if the bags under my eyes are bigger and darker than usual, that would explain it.
I have been there many times. My dog is wonderful. He has really only 2 flaws, and one of those flaws is a weak stomach. So I have been there on more than one occasion.
My cats don't have to go outside, so
yeah,
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
I'm not often jealous of cat owners. I don't hate cats. I just have been a dog guy my whole life. But
I have both. I have dogs and cats.
Yeah.
So, but the dogs are my family members, and the cat is mine. So.
Yeah. All right, Fitz, do you want to take 30 seconds and brag about the Wisconsin-Maryland game here?
Yeah, could do that. I think we knew how that was going to work out. Not a great year for Maryland basketball, the rare year that they are a doormat. So I guess I got to get my bragging rights in while I can.
I don't think it'll be that rare in the Buzz Williams era. Is how we were joking about this before we started taping the show, and
the language is way different now.
Let's just say I could do a full hour of an unfiltered, uncensored show on my feelings on Buzz Williams.
Just so people know, for the record, Wisconsin beat Maryland by about 30 last night at Wisconsin's senior night. And the only senior, I think, for the Badgers was the coach's son, who's like, I'm not sure if he's a walk-on or a scholarship player, but he never plays. He played and he sank a long 3-pointer with under a minute, and the place was up for grabs. Like this, a kid who has literally grown up with Wisconsin basketball. So kind of cool to see.
Let me just share one stat to explain how bad it is for Maryland. Maryland this century has 10 30-point losses. 5 of them are this season. That's kind of all you need to know.
Wow.
God. There is something else we want to hit on before the Dynasty rookie rankings, and that is there was a really big trade in the NFL just this morning. DJ Moore going from the Bears to the Bills. I believe it was DJ Moore and a 5th in return for a 2nd from the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, we're focused on the rookies today, so we wanted to just hit this at the top of the show because it doesn't really make sense to work it in to the rankings later. But I mean, Josh Allen gets his sort of a number 1 receiver. I mean, he's been that at times in the past. A guy who has played with Joe Brady before when they were in Carolina and had some really good seasons with Joe Brady calling plays with DJ Moore. It opens up room for Fitz's favorite dynasty asset, I think, in the entire league, Luther Burden, to have more opportunity in Chicago. Just a really interesting trade from both dynasty and redraft perspective all the way around, Fitz.
Yeah, and brilliant segue by you bringing up Maryland basketball and then going to a Maryland player, DJ Moore. Maybe the rare trade that seems like it's got far more winners than losers as a result of this. I think this is good for all of the Bears pass catchers because it declutters the target situation in Chicago. Now it's a pretty clear 3-way with Roma Dunze, Colston Lovell, and Luther Burden. That's great. It was messy when DJ Moore was there too. Great for DJ Moore. I don't think he and there was a weird lack of chemistry. I thought like it got a little better last year, but it seemed like DJ Moore and Caleb Williams were never quite on the same page. So fresh start for DJ Moore with Josh Allen. And as you mentioned, the Joe Brady connection. Seems like we're probably going to get a better year out of DJ Moore than we've gotten the last 2 seasons. I guess the losers are maybe Khalil Shakir and
Keon Coleman.
Keon Coleman. I mean,
He's already a loser.
The writing was on the wall there. Maybe Dalton Kincaid to a small degree, but obviously helps Josh Allen. So yeah, I mean, it's winners all around. I suppose if you want to galaxy brain it, maybe this could hurt the Chicago pass catchers and Caleb Williams in that now they have extra ammo to improve their defense and won't be in quite as many shootouts. But yeah, I'm not going to go that far. I do wonder if the Bears use that extra pick as part of their ammunition to go and get Max Crosby.
100%. Yeah. I think that's a big reason why they made this trade is to get more assets to try to go get Crosby. They seem pretty staunch that they don't want to trade him. The Raiders. So, but I do think that this is, like you said, Fitzy, for fantasy, this is great for everybody. It's a good boost for Burden. It's a nice boost for Loveland to see more targets, for Roma Dunze to see more targets as well. It finally gets Josh Allen a number 1. Should free up some things for Shakir, so maybe you take some targets away from him, but he should be more open now. So, this is one of those trades that I think in the fantasy world benefits pretty much everybody.
Obviously, you can't really get much higher in the rankings than Josh Allen is, but do you guys think this does actually help him in terms of just what he will be as a fantasy quarterback? I mean, he's really benefited from a Maryland Terrapins receiver in the past. He took his big step forward when they acquired Stephon Diggs all those years ago. Now they get another Terp for him to throw to. Is this a needle mover for him, even if in the rankings he can't really get much higher, Bogman?
Needle mover, I don't know if I would say, because like you said, I don't know if he can go much higher, but it has to be better for him, right? Like, you have a premier wide receiver now, and who is clearly better than the rest of the guys on this team, and he should make everybody better by default. So yeah, I think this does have to improve Josh Allen a little bit, maybe not move the needle, but it cannot hurt him.
I don't think they're done either. I wouldn't be surprised if they took a day 2 receiver, a Chris Brazzell type, and added. So he'll have probably 2 new pass catchers, add those guys onto Shakir and Kincaid, and you're starting to cook. Like, he has been grossly undermanned as far as pass catchers, and now they're finally starting to rectify that. Brandon Beane, though, was this kind of an overpay for the Bills, you think? They got a 5th round pick back, but they sent a late second, so not quite a top 50 pick, but close.
I think probably, I would classify it as an overpay. And also, this class is a little weaker, but that seems to be, I know Daniel Jeremiyah was saying that this kind of range, that late second, is sort of the sweet spot of the draft in his opinion. So, even if the draft overall is kind of down, there are still picks that are going to net good players here that they're getting rid of. I think maybe an overpay, but, I'm a big believer that, and this applies to both Dynasty and in the NFL, that people are too focused on winning the pure value of the trade and not about just what makes your team better. This makes the team better. This helps the most important person in the entire organization, and Josh Allen. I think if they also take a receiver in the first round, I'd be super on board with that and just say, hey, let's double down on this and just really make sure this is not just no longer a weakness, but now a strength. I'm fine with an overpay. You have to overpay to get good receivers. And
that's it.
You can debate if DJ Moore is that at this point, but yeah, Bogman, you have to overpay if you want to get a guy like this.
How many teams have been trying to get a number 2 for a long time? I know the Steelers have been trying to do it. They tried to trade for Ayuk. They tried to trade for Brian Thomas. They tried to trade for so many guys last season, and it's just the asking price was too much. So I think it kind of got to the point where you're just going to have to overpay. So go ahead and do it and get it done. And like Worm said, make it a strength where it was a weakness.
It's a philosophical question. If overpaying is what market value is it still an overpay? If that's just what the going cost is, that's what you have to
think
pay.
It still can be, just from where you stand, and in 3 years we're going to look back at this trade. Yeah. The Bills will not care what they paid if they win a Super Bowl. They will not care at all what they paid if they win a Super Bowl. So, maybe an overpay, but a necessary one, I think, in my opinion anyway.
All right, let's get to the rookie rankings here. We're going to go position by position, like I said, and then kind of throughout sprinkle in our thoughts on where some of these names fit kind of in the larger scheme of overall rankings. We also are going to be doing a Superflex rookie mock next week, so that will also kind of help shape how we see as the order of these guys going against each other. So be on the lookout for that one coming next week. Quarterback's a really easy one. At the top is Fernando Mendoza. Obviously, no reason for that to have changed post-combine. He was the number one pick. He is the number one pick. This will not change. It's as much of an obvious favorite as it's been in a while. So I don't even think we should waste any time here. Like, if you guys want to talk about him, you can. But, like, I guess the only real question is, like, him versus Love in rookie drafts, like, in a Superflex rookie draft. If Love did enough to say, like, he would supplant him even in that format. But, like, amongst the quarterbacks, there's nothing to talk about here, Fitz.
Agreed. Number one with the bullets and probably the obvious 102. Like, I understand that people are over the moon about Love, who is one of the better prospects to have come out in recent years. How you order him with Bijan Robinson, Ashton Genty, Saquon Barkley, if you want to go back a little further. Totally up for debate, but he is, if not in that category, just right on the cusp of it. So I get why Love is the consensus 101, even in Superflex.
Bogman, any thoughts on Mendoza, or can we get to QB2 here?
It's Love all the way. So, yeah.
Love all the way for you. Mendoza at the top of quarterback. The rest of the quarterbacks here, Ty Simpson, like I would say, is the consensus QB2. It's not that people tend to feel strongly about it from what I can tell. It's just he's the name that most commonly is coming up in that spot. For you, Bogman, I mean, first of all, you guys both do have Ty Simpson as your QB2 as well. Do you see a case for Ty Simpson to be a first-round quarterback, or is this just like he's only getting talked about there because of the nature of the class? Like, if it's possible for you to set aside the context of this being such a weak class at the position, does he feel like somebody that is worth taking a swing on in the first, a la like Jackson Dart a year ago, if somebody trading into the late first, something like that?
No, I don't think he is, but I think he will be taken in the first round, because you said it's just a lack of choices, right? And there's not a lot of good quarterbacks as free agents. There's one, it's Malik Willis. He already has strong ties to the Cardinals. The Jets would overpay, So I think for teams that are desperate for a quarterback, yes, Ty Simpson's probably going to go, but I don't think he should. He would be a second-round pick to me if I were a GM, and this class is pretty weak at quarterback.
Wait, can I interject though with that? Like, I'm not as sure he is a first rounder as you are, Bogman, because like, do you want to commit to him? And if you're taking him in the first round, it's kind of a commitment, or do you want to sort of punt the quarterback position, kick the can down the road a year till next year when it looks like, and I know we thought this year's quarterback class was going to be good, as some people pointed out to me on Twitter. I don't think that means next year's class is going to be bad.
Right.
A lot of these guys opted to stay in school. Like, we've got Dante Moore, obviously.
Lenore Sellers, yeah.
Lenore Sellers, Trinidad Chambliss wanting to go back. And then alongside some of these, and like Darian Mensah, who I guess technically was eligible this year. But then there's some pretty exciting guys, Julian Sayin. And so it's a really good class, is my point. And I don't know if you want to really hitch your wagon to Ty Simpson with a first-round pick when you might have half a dozen worthy first-round quarterbacks.
I agree with you, and I think that it shouldn't happen, but I think it just always does, right? Like, just some team decides that Ty Simpson is their guy, and they, I think the real reason is because you get that extra year of control with a quarterback if you trade back into, like, the end of the first. So I could see somebody trying to trade up into the back of the first round just to try to get that extra year for Ty Simpson, which would technically make him a first-round pick. I don't think he should go there. I don't think any of these guys outside of Mendoza are worthy of a first-round pick.
Same.
And I think midway through the second is where I would even start considering them against the rest of the board, and the rest of the board isn't that great, as it compares to a lot of other draft classes. So I think there's a lot of good clipboard holders here. There's a lot of guys with experience that could come in and, save you for a game, save you for 2 games, something like that. But long-term starters, I just don't know that we have a lot here.
So let me ask you guys this then on Simpson. Where is he going in rookie drafts for you overall if he is a first-round pick, let's say like in the 20s somewhere, versus if he's a second-round pick? How much will your ranking of him in terms of an overall big board of rookies in this class change based on the draft capital that he gets day one versus day two, Bogman?
I mean, I have him at 24 in a 1 QB draft. So I would probably get him up to like...
Let's think Superflex. One
Superflex?
QB, there's not
All
going
right.
to be any interest for him. Yeah, Superflex, where is he if he's a first rounder? Where is he if he's not
I'm going to
a
put him
first-rounder?
at 14. So he's a second rounder to me in most drafts.
And that's if he's a first-round pick?
Yeah, if he's a first-round pick. I'll consider him kind of the same if he's, in that Jackson Dart to Tyler Shuck range. I don't think I'll change him. So he'd have to go much higher for me to move him higher or much lower for me to bury him.
What do you think, Fitz? What kind of difference would it be for you first round versus second round?
Right now I've got him at 11. I don't think I'm going to move him any higher than that. And I might drop him a little bit if he goes in the second round, but me having him at 11 is more how I feel about the class in general than it is about me really liking Ty Simpson.
You guys have the same QB3, the same QB4, the same QB5, and the same QB6. It does differ a little bit with ECR. QB3, you have Garrett Nussmeier. QB4, you both have Carson Beck. QB5, you both have Cole Payton out of North Dakota State. And QB6, you both have Taylon Green. Who stands out most of that group? I don't think we need to deep dive these guys. I mean, obviously, beyond, we don't even like Simpson, let alone the guys coming after, we're not very high on, nor do we expect any kind of interesting draft capital in the NFL draft. But Fitz, when I throw those names out, Nussmeier, Beck, Payton, Green, who stands out to you as worth talking about?
I mean, I don't think Nussmeier and Beck are that interesting because I see them as future, maybe longer term backups who maybe get a chance to start at some point. But I think the interesting guys are Payton and Green, because these guys are athletic freaks, really wildly athletic guys. And I think with Green, who was just, this guy tested what did he run at the combine?
It was like a 4.36, I think.
Yeah, and he did this at 6'6" and 227 pounds. So, but then again with Taylon Green, I mean, we could also see him possibly take the Logan Thomas path in the NFL. Logan Thomas was Bogs was he was Virginia Tech, right? Or
yes.
was it West Virginia? Mm-hmm. Virginia Tech.
Tech.
So, tall, big, hyper-athletic quarterback prospect who eventually moved to tight end and didn't really pan out. It was never really fantasy relevant, but did have a pretty, played in the NFL long enough to get a pension. So I wonder if we maybe see Taylon Green take the same sort of route and a positional change in his future.
What is the kind of process between liking Payton ahead of Green? If these are both kind of not very proven, super athletic guys, what do you like better about Payton?
Maybe more likely to stick at quarterback.
And that's the difference for you. Okay.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think those are the two guys with the, swing upside. I have Nussmeier and Beck ahead of them because those guys have had a lot of starts. So it's much more likely that they see some action earlier. Those guys are true, hey, man, they could be Pro Bowlers in 2 or 3 seasons like Jordan Love, or they could be in the CFL next year, right? I think there are wide-ranging outcomes for Cole Payton and Taylon Green, which make them dicey to draft.
All right, the quarterbacks stink in this class. Let's move on. I want to save time for better position groups. I do want to let everybody know first that our Dynasty Draft Simulator lets you complete a mock in minutes with no waiting between picks. Customize your league settings to match your league's exact format. Premium subscribers can test trade scenarios by mocking with their traded draft picks as well. Prepare for rookie drafts and Dynasty startup drafts in one place. Use the Dynasty Draft Simulator to dominate your rookie draft today. That's at fantasypros.com/simulator. All right, guys, let's go to running back. Much like quarterback, there's a very obvious number one. It's Jeremiyah Love. We're not going to spend any time there. He's awesome. We even talked about it. Even in Superflex, worth going over Fernando Mendoza. He's in the same category as guys like Bijan, Jenti, Gibbs. Like Fitz said, maybe a hair behind some of them, and we're not saying he's at the top of that group, but you can say his name in the same breath and not get laughed out of the room. That's how good he is. He's awesome. RB2 is where it gets interesting. There are 6 names you can make a case for here, or at least that you might see people making a case for, depending on their personal preference. Bogman, as of right now, we're recording this on March 5th. Who's RB2 for you?
I still have Jordyn Price. I think that he would have had way more buzz if he hadn't been sitting behind Jeremiyah Love, right? And he wanted to play for Notre Dame, and he got to do it. And I mean, he played in a natty. They went real far with him. Obviously, we wonder about the receiving profile because I think in his college career he had 18 receptions or something. But he has if you remember the buzz on Miles Sanders coming out of college, I feel like Jordyn Price is kind of the same way. An explosive runner who can hit a home run, a strong runner with good vision as well. And I just think he's a little bit undervalued here because he sat behind Jeremiyah Love. So I'm still going to have Price at number 2.
It seems like for you guys, the 3 names, I said there's a bunch of names you could consider in ECR. There's several here. The 3 names that you guys have in different orders, but the 3 names after Love are Price, Jonah Coleman, and Mike Washington Jr. Is it one of those 3 for you too, Fitz, that is number 2?
Yeah, it is Price, but I do not have many really entrenched positions with tier 2. I find this to be a complete jumble, and there's basically one thing I like about all of these guys. Jordyn Price, I like that he is commonly mocked highest. He is the odds-on favorite to be the number 2 running back off the board. Jonah Coleman, I probably like his tape the most. And he's a Big Ten guy, I guess, technically with Washington. So I got to see him quite a bit last fall and thought he was pretty good. Mike Washington, obviously the athleticism and the speed at his size. I mean, this above average running back who runs a sub 4.4, really impressive. Emmett Johnson, just his productivity for Nebraska last year. And, Nick Singleton probably has the best, well, until Washington, I guess. I thought Singleton was going to have the best size speed combination in the draft. And, Katron Allen productive too. It's just, it's I'm a fan of the band Roush, and in their song Free Will, there's a lyric, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. And I'm not going to decide on these guys because in my overall rankings, my RB2 comes in after 11 wide receivers. I just think the wide receivers are better, so I'm going to wait. And I don't think that's too crazy because I was just looking at a 2-round mock draft that Dane Brugler of The Athletic did. Brugler's an excellent, college scouting guy.
The Beast every year.
Yeah, the Beast. So he had in his 2-round mock only 2 running backs going, and he had Jordyn Price going with the last pick of the 2nd round. And he had 10 wide receivers going before that Jordyn Price pick. So I feel like that's kind of the way to go. The receivers are just better than the running backs in this class, other than Jeremiyah Love.
Well, and Bogman, the league is telling us that they are down in the class with when you see what people are paying for David Montgomery, right? What the Texans spent to add him rather than just drafting one of these guys. Do you feel like this kind of clump of 5 or 6 potential RB2s here, Bogman, is more they're not in Brugler's 2-round mock? Do you see them as still day 2 guys, a lot of them in round 3, or do you even see them as more of day 3 guys? These are we're talking about 4th rounders here, because it does feel like a pretty big difference day 2 versus day 3.
I remember Cam Scatterbo was a 4th round pick last year, right? Yeah. So that class was deep though, and I just think there's less desperation for running backs. I think the teams that need them are trading for them, as you said. So the market is kind of down on RBs right now currently in the NFL. So I do think that they will probably be more between round 3 and round 4. 1 or 2 may slip into the 2nd, 2 or 3 in the 3rd. But I think most of these guys are going in the 4th round, though. So that's kind of how I see it. But I'm with Fitzy. I have 9 wide receivers ahead of Jordyn Price. I have 2 tight ends out of Jordyn Price, and even in a 1 QB league, we're taking Mendoza over him too. So, I think we're kind of down on this class, but I would throw the one name that Fitzy didn't say, I'm going to throw Devin Claiborne in there as well. Just the speed and the vision and the way that he can accelerate, I think is going to be really good as a B-back somewhere. So I would throw him in that second group as well.
Fitz, sorry, when you were listing all the names, I'm not sure if you actually did you say Nick Singleton? He's sixth in ECR. The reason I want to bring him up is because I wonder if he would have jumped up from the combine if he'd had the chance, just because we know he's very athletic. He was a 5-star recruit. He broke his foot, so he wasn't able to do any of that stuff. I wonder if he would have been a combine hero that would be more towards this RB2 conversation if he'd had the chance to kind of show off athletically.
Yeah, I think he would have tested maybe similarly to Mike Washington. Like, I don't know if he would have ran, Washington was a 4.33. I'm not sure Singleton would have been quite that fast, but I think he would have been right around 4.4. And at a pretty good size. I think he checked in at 220 pounds or something like that. So I do believe he had a chance. And since this foot injury is not something that's going to put his rookie season in jeopardy, we shouldn't forget about him, but it's just kind of what you think of him when you watch the tape. I mean, I think he was weird. He had some really good seasons at Penn State and some really unimpressive seasons.
It's Trent Richardson.
Yeah.
I mean, great athlete, has crazy burst, zero vision.
Yeah.
And Katron Allen's the opposite. He doesn't have that burst. He's not a crazy athlete. Great vision. So put them together. They're Saquon Barkley, but two different people.
You know the real reason I'm second guessing having Jadarian Price at number 2 is that because this is such an ordinary running back class after Jeremiyah Love, I feel like pass catching is going to be important for getting these guys playing opportunities, and Jadarian Price has shown none. He might have it, but he just wasn't asked to do it at Notre Dame. There's very little to go on with him as a pass catcher, and who is going to give Jadarian Price early down work right away? I just don't see that happening.
Landing spot is going to matter so much to these guys, right? Because if you end up being number 2 behind Ashton Genty or Saquon Barkley or something like that, you're not getting the touches. San Francisco's probably drafting one of these guys. They got a lot of free agents, so whoever's behind CMC gets nothing. You're just a handcuff until CMC gets hurt. So landing spot is going to put a lot of context on this group, and that is going to that's going to end up being the massive separator for all these guys.
I think it's going to be really random who's going to get opportunities in year one. It's probably whichever of these running backs are on teams where a bunch of running backs get hurt. It might be, we might see, I don't know, Kalen Black. He might be the 12th running back off the board. But maybe he goes to a team
line carries,
or a team just has a wave of injuries, and all of a sudden they have to play him, and he comes through. I feel like it's going to be less about getting opportunities on the merits than just kind of lucking your way into it.
Krosky Merritt from last year, yeah.
So Love is a top 2 pick in rookie drafts. You guys, because of all the receivers, basically don't have any of these guys in the rest of round 1. So round 2 is going to be very heavy on Price, Coleman, Johnson, Allen, Washington, Singleton, etc. Who are the names that would be going in round 3 of rookie drafts that interest you? Or is that going to be still a lot more receivers just because of the depth? Or are there names, looking at ECR, there's names like Adam Randall, Roman Hemby, Seth McGowan, Jaden Ott. Who are names that you guys are going to be interested in inside? They're not going to be players that you're aggressively trading up to try and go get, but that in that 25 to 36 range of rookie drafts, you might have some interest in Fitz. Or is it nobody and it'll just be more receivers?
Adam Randall's the one who really interests me because he's a converted wide receiver, so we know he's probably capable of catching passes, and he ran a 4.50 at 232 pounds, and I think he did a bunch of reps on the bench press too. Just a big dude with some pass catching aptitude, so I'm interested in him as just and I know he's raw. He didn't become a running back until his final year at Clemson, so basically just has 1 season of running back experience. But man, the raw tools are something I'm sure some NFL team is going to be really intrigued by, and it wouldn't surprise me if he maybe snuck into the end of day 2.
Bogman.
Yeah, the only other name that I have is outside of Adam Randall, because I do have him in there as well, but is Seth McGowan running back from Kentucky. A lot of off the field issues, but 6 foot 223, ran a 4.49. Very, very athletic guy who had some really interesting tape and a lot of bursts. So excited to see him. But beyond that, like, I don't know, maybe Jam Miller, Kalen Black, Jamari Taylor get drafted to some good spots. I know there's some love for Robert Henry Jr., but not a lot beyond those guys.
I'm not a scout, so I'm not good at assessing the on-field workouts. But like Jam Miller kind of caught my eye. Just the way I like the way that guy moves.
A lot of experience too for Jam.
Yeah.
So might not be bad, but it's gonna have to be situations for these guys that end up going somewhere. And like Fitzy said, a running back gets hurt or gets traded or something happens, and it's next man up. So we're gonna have to see where these guys land to get their true value.
Today's show is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. That's Florida's sportsbook. March is here, and that means college basketball takes center stage. The stakes are rising, the shots are falling, and now's the time to hit the hardwood with Hard Rock Bet. With hoops on every night, every night is a shot to build a same-game parlay and score a major bucket. And if you ever miss tip-off of that big game, don't worry. Hard Rock Bet lets you live bet all game long from the first bucket to the final buzzer, so you're never too late to find a winner or grab that player prop you had circled. Sign up today and double your winnings on your first 10 bets. That's a max of $50. That's right. If you would have won $100 on your same game parlay, make that $200. The Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app is the only legal sportsbook for whenever you're in Florida. It's also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado, and Michigan, coming soon to more states too. Plus, Hard Rock Bet offers new promos daily, so whenever you're listening, just open the app and check out what you've got any day of the week. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit. All right, fellas, let's get to the wide receivers. The kind of obvious tier one that we've been talking about for a couple of months now, Carnell, Tate, Makai, Lemon, Jordyn, Tyson. That is the order I have had them pretty much this whole time. It's the order ECR currently has them. It's the order both of you have them according to the sheet I'm looking at here. Let me know if that's changed at all. But it's not to say there's a lot of separation, even though like sometimes when you see everybody agrees that this guy's one, everybody agrees that this guy's two, like it feels like, oh, well, because it's such a consensus that it means there's a wide gap. There's not a wide gap here. We just happen to all agree in this order, but they are very close to each other. And in the Dynasty Trade Value chart, Fitz and I did a show on that earlier this week. They were like, I think 6 spots apart total between them in that chart in terms of value. So Tate and Lemon, little bit of separation ahead of Tyson. Obviously, that's really injury driven, but it's these three and then everybody else.
I have an interesting question for Fitzy because I asked it first. But if I made you move somebody, Tate, Lemon, or Tyson, who moves Fitzy?
What do you mean moves?
Like if you have to change your ranking and I say, look, this is not it. You have to move one guy somewhere. Where do they move between Tate, Lemon, and Tyson?
I'd move Tyson up to either 1 or 2.
Okay.
I knew that's what you were going to say because if he's healthy, then
I think he might be
low. Yeah.
I think he might be the best prospect of all of them. But like if I feel that way, I don't feel like he's best by a lot either over Tate. I think these guys are all really, really close. And the easy tie break is Tyson's injury history. So he's kind of easy to put at number 3. But I think I might like him the most of all these guys. And I think he might have the highest upside. So it's just like there was some separation in the overall dynasty rankings. ECR, what it was like, Tate was 18 and Tyson was 24. Like that.
It was something like
even
that.
Even though it's only 6 spots, it shouldn't be that big a gap. They're really close. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised. I know every mock draft has Tate going ahead of Tyson. Wouldn't shock me at all if Tyson went ahead of Tate. If teams ran him through the medicals at the combine and were totally confident that the knee he wrecked back in 2022 was totally fine, would not shock me if Tyson was the first receiver drafted.
Bogman, what's your answer to that? Who would you move if you had to move one?
I put Lemon up at 1 and move Tate down just a spot because Tate has had some injury stuff as well. But like Fitzy said, you just never know what is an actual injury, what is staying out of games to preserve your NFL future. You know what I mean? And get the big money. So I think that is a legitimate question. And like Fitzy said, the teams are going to know better than us because they get to run their medicals. So that's probably just to hedge my bets is I put the guy that hasn't had the injury history the other two had up at the top.
Bogman, what was your reaction to Tate running a, not reportedly, but a slower 40 time? I guess I say reportedly because there were some scouts that I guess hand timed him faster, but
the ridiculousness around that worm is so eye rolling, bro. Like, dude, why are we measuring it? And then you're telling us that the measurement could be wrong. What are you talking about? This is done with radar.
It maybe has something to do with, I thought they said
it's like when your hand moves first is when the electronic one starts, and his hand like starts sooner than other guys or something like that.
No, his hand starts like it starts later, like he has a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
So I think it's much ado about nothing, man.
The answer is I do not care about his 40 time even a little bit.
The other thing too is like his speed is not the reason I'm interested in him.
Right.
Like, he's fast enough, right? He's not. If he runs like, a 5.2 40, like, something insane, yes, then you become, undraftable. But if
he's
it's
fast enough to route up a corner,
if it's a tenth of a second slower, yes, he's still very good. I'm not at all worried about it.
If you were going to be bothered by anything about Carnell Tate, and I'm not saying this does bother me, it's the fact that, like, Jordyn Tyson was the number one receiver on his team. And Ohio State, whoever's game planning against Ohio State, had to worry about Jeremiyah Smith first and foremost because he's an absolute monster and is going to be one of the best wide receiver prospects ever to come out of college when he eventually comes out next year. But I'm not worried about that because when you watch Carnell Tate, it's just a highlight play after highlight play downfield. Like, the guy's just a fantastic. He's so good at adjusting to the ball in the air. Like, that's the thing I like most about Carnell Tate. Like, I
think people are getting, fatigued from all these Ohio State wide receivers being great, but they're all great.
Right.
Like, almost all of them have come out and been awesome. JSN just won a Super Bowl. Garrett Wilson only played 6 games and led his team in receptions. Chris Olave looked great, after not having 100 concussions this year. So, I mean, they are a wide receiver producing factory right now.
Iron sharpens iron, man. If you want to see the field in Columbus, you better be good.
Do you guys still feel, we talked early on in this process about the strength of the receivers in this year's class is the depth, not the high-end guys. Like, it doesn't feel like, and again, viewing them as prospects, not what they've done in the NFL, it doesn't feel like there's a Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors, these like super step in, like, gonna be a wide receiver one in Dynasty the day they get to the NFL types of guys. But they're still very good. They're still like inside the top 20, just more like later in the top 20 than towards the top 10. Do you still feel that way, Bogman? Did you ever feel that way? Or is that just me kind of making that up? Where they're very good, but maybe not the elite prospects entering the NFL?
I think the thing that I would say, the one bone I'd have to pick with that thought process is the fact that, none of these guys are fully formed and completely done learning and growing, right? So who thought Amon-Ra St. Brown was going to be a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL when he came in? Not many people, right? So there's a lot of meat on the bone for these guys to learn and grow, and they already have a lot of talent. So I would say coming into the NFL, there is no Malik Neighbors, but we thought Marvin Harrison Jr. was a generational type guy.
Yeah. Just talking about as prospects, right?
No. That's the process, right? Yeah. Is as prospects, these guys are not done learning. They're not completely formed, players quite yet. So I think you're right in the fact that there is no crazy upside here with like a generational prospect. But these guys could all, I think those top 3 guys could all be wide receiver ones. By the end of their second season. And no one would be super shocked by that.
The next 2, KC Concepcion and Denzel Boston, have been the next 2 for a while. By the way, Tate, Lemon, and Tyson, in pretty much every draft and ranking we've done, have been 3, 4, and 5 in the overall kind of rookie conversation behind Love and Mendoza. Concepcion and Boston are guys that you guys, at least the sheet I'm looking at, have it reversed who you like better. It doesn't really matter. They're both going to be in that 6 to 8 range in rookie drafts. Like, they're good players. We like them. I want to ask you guys, the guy after him that you both have at 6, Omar Cooper Jr., did you give any consideration to putting him ahead of either Concepcion or Boston, or do you see those as like a mini tier that Cooper is like sort of definitively at the end of? Because he has been early in the conversation. Seems like there's starting to be a bit more hype for him. He's getting a lot of talk as a first-round pick, guy who might go in the 20s in this class. Do you think there's a chance he's inside the top 5 for you, or is he pretty solidified at 6, Fitz?
I have thought about moving him up to 4 or 5. I have mentioned that I've got some family ties to Indiana University and was really locked in on their football program this year and watched a lot of them. And I think Omar Cooper is just fantastic. This dude is so tough. The play that encapsulates it for me, and I wish I could remember the opponent, but like he, just like a little 5-yard catch over the middle, he gets just absolutely rocked in the helmet by a guy who got ejected for targeting. I think he had to, and still makes the catch. I think he had to sit out one play, and then he came back, and I think he had like a first down reception on the very first play he was back. Like, this guy is just so tough, but like great after the catch, blocks his tail off. There's a lot to like here. So, yeah, and now seeing things, I think, in the aforementioned Dane Brugler's latest mock draft, Bogs, I think he had your Steelers taking Omar Cooper at 21.
I'm 100% with you, and you were the OG Omar Cooper guy. But I do think that I have him higher in the overall than you do now. I just watching this guy more and more and more, he just reminds me of Debo, hopefully without that attitude. So I think he's in that tier. I am at the bottom of it now, but landing spot is going to, mean a lot here. So
landing spot and draft capital for those 3, Concepcion, Boston, and Cooper.
He's in that group, no doubt to me.
Yep.
So then let me ask you this. Who's wide receiver 7? Because 1 through 6, obviously, like I said, you guys switch a little on Boston versus Concepcion, but 1 through 6 is basically the same order for you guys, and for ECR is basically the same order. 7 is where you start to see some, again, personal preference, just guys that you might start to like better than consensus or worse than consensus. So I want to ask each of you, Bogman, I'll start with you. Who's wide receiver 7 in this class?
Yeah, I have a group of 3 here that I kind of go back and forth between, and it's Jeremy Bernard and the 2 Bells, Chris Bell and Skylar Bell. And I know I'm higher than a lot of people on Skylar Bell. I do not care. The guy is. He killed the combine. I think he's going to be great. And Chris Bell is a guy that's injured this season. Coming into this season, he tore his ACL in college, so we're going to have to wait on him for a big chunk of the year, which is why I would have him lower. I think I would probably have him ahead of Denzel Boston, and in that, in that group ahead of Casey Concepcion and probably ahead of Omar Cooper Jr. if he was healthy coming in here. But it's Jeremy Bernard for me as number 7. The hands are incredible. Doesn't get bumped off routes a lot as well. Obviously, he had a Jekyll and Hyde season, but that kind of went with Ty Simpson's performance this year as well. So I just think the hands are one of the best tools of all the wide receivers in this class from Jeremy Bernard, and I'm going to stick to that.
Fitz, who's your wide receiver 7?
It's Elijah Sarratt right now, but I don't feel strongly about this. Like I've just got him. I feel like he and Jeremy Bernard and Makai Fields and maybe Chris Brazzell are all right there together, and it's hard for me to separate them. What I like about Sarratt is he's big, really reliable hands, and I think like of all the receivers in this class, maybe he had the highest passer rating on targeted throws to him. But then again, he played with Fernando Mendoza's final year, so that
and Omar
certainly
Cooper Jr.
skews that. Yeah, right. So I like all those guys. I mean, obviously the size speed combo with Brazzell is really intoxicating. I mean, Bernard, really good week at the combine, I think. Makai Fields, I know some people are going to knock him because he ran what's perceived to be a slow 40 time, but when you factor in his size, I think I want to say that player profile still has his speed score in like the 74th percentile. So like any notion that like the 40 time is going to really dock Makai Fields in the draft, I don't know if that's accurate.
So in looking at the kind of shape of the first round in rookie drafts, we have one quarterback in Mendoza. We have one running back in Love because you guys are down on the rest of the class. There's the 6 receivers that we all kind of agree on earlier. And then there are 2 tight ends, which we'll get to at the end of the show. So that's 6 receivers, 2 tight ends is 8. one running back, one quarterback. That's 10. The last two spots in rookie, mocks to fill out the 12, are those just going to be receiver of your choice, Fitz? Whether it's Sarratt or, based on landing spot, becomes Bernard or whoever, Makai Fields. Is there a chance that it could be like, well, by the time we get to early May, that it could be one of the running backs? Or is it just going to be like, hey, however these wide receivers shake out, that will kind of be the 11 and 12 in drafts, in your opinion?
I think it'll probably depend on there will be a couple eye-opening things as far as where guys get drafted, and that's maybe going to move the needle. But I think if we were doing a rookie draft today or multiple rookie drafts today, 100 rookie drafts today, I'll bet Mike Washington is going 111 or 112 in 90% of those drafts.
Do you feel like in terms of your rankings, Bogman, is that a fair assessment of mine that there's kind of a clear top 10 just in the way we've talked about it so far? And then not even that it's they're going to be terrible picks, but just the more question marks start to come in about what is this order going to look like at 11, or do you see kind of a break differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think the break may be after Mendoza. I have him at 9. So after that, my 10, 11, 12.
Just to be clear, that's in a 1 QB where he's talking.
Yeah,
about,
in a 1 QB. So in a Superflex, put him at 2, right? So, but after that, I would say, in a Superflex, you'd consider where Ty Simpson lands, of course. Maybe even if Garrett Nussmeier goes ahead of him for whatever reason, if he lands in a good spot like Tyler Shuck kind of was out of nowhere last year. Jackson Dart was in the first round out of nowhere last year. But then currently I have Stowers, Bernard, Bell. But I look at the tiers that I have here, and I could have all the way down to my 19th guy right now is Jonah Coleman. I could easily have him at number 10 if he ends up in a really great scenario. Like if he's the Titans lead back after they make improvements at wide receiver through free agency, right? And add another wide receiver. Now all of a sudden the O-line's fixed. Cam Ward has targets, and Jonah Coleman is the lead back. He's going to move way up in that scenario.
Fair to say, Bogs, we don't feel great about whoever we respectively have at 112.
Yeah.
I've got Elijah Sarratt there. I feel good about Elijah Sarratt in the second round. I don't want to draft him at 112.
Honestly, I get to 9 and I start to get queasy. That's where it is for me. So I'm even before that. At 9, I start to go, I just really don't know what this is going to look like. I think I have my top 9 locked in, but after that, I just don't know.
So looking at some of these other names deeper at receiver, and like I said, we'll get to the tight ends later. Obviously, everybody knows we're talking about Sadiq and Stowers as those two, potentially in the first round. But we'll dive deeper in that position at the end of the show. As far as the rest of the receivers go, Zachariah Branch, Jacoby Lane, Makai Fields, Skylar Bell. You guys have mentioned some of these names already. Even going a little further, like Bryce Lance, Ted Hurst. I know there has some fans out there. Is this a group, when you look at wide receiver, let's say 12 through 20, that you think is better or worse than most years wide receiver 12-ish through 20 Fits?
The deeper you go into this receiver class, I think the more favorable it looks against other classes, which isn't to say better, but at least it's comparable. At the top, it's probably not as good as your typical wide receiver class. So it's deep, but not necessarily a really good class. I think there are a lot of interesting guys, but I don't think the hit rate with this wide receiver class is going to be above average relative to other classes.
The bulge is in the
might
middle.
Be below average, yeah.
Yeah, the bulge is in the middle where you don't want it to be, right? There's a lot of medium talent here that could ascend and become great. Just like you said, Worm, I have Sarratt, Fields, and Brazel kind of in my next group after Bernard, Bell, and the Bells. And then I have Ted Hurst and Zachariah Branch, Antonio Williams, Bryce and Lance, and then it gets real fuzzy after that, I feel like.
So I feel like we're all sort of dancing around the fact that this class kind of sucks. Let's be totally honest. I mean,
there's upside though. It's
there
not
is.
good.
There are going to be hits for sure, but when you we want to like every class and fall in love with these guys because this is the most exciting time of Dynasty season. Like, we get excited about the rookie drafts and everything, but like, if you want to declare that every class is good, then no class is good. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
We're about to see a monster class in 2027. I'm confident in that. Like, we are going to be hyper excited about next year's class. This year's class just isn't good, but hey, we still have to like parse it and take our shots in rookie drafts and figure out who can help us.
So
it's just the hit rates are going to be bad this year.
Like,
That's
if you
all
take
I'm saying.
Zachariah Branch like 20th overall, or like Bryce Lance,
Right.
you
A
know,
guy who ran screens on 57% of his routes or whatever.
What is your mindset going to be if you are like, hey, I could use a receiver? It is deeper in this class. Like, I'm taking Bryce Lance or whoever in the early, middle, third round of the rookie draft. Are you gonna walk away being like, yeah, I'm feeling good, like I'm excited to see what he does? Or you're gonna walk away being like, I had to take someone.
Pretty much, I had to take someone.
Okay,
but I think I'm going to feel the way I feel when I buy a Powerball ticket.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You have to play to win, but I don't think I'm winning.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the tight ends here. Obviously, there are two names that stand above the rest. We already had Kenyon, Sadiq, and Eli Stowers as 1 and 2 in the class, and then they proceeded to like shatter records at the combine and just like really like jaw-dropping performances. Bogman, I asked Fitz this on Tuesday's show, and I want to ask you too. We talk a lot about not double counting. We already knew that Kenyon Sadiq was really, really an athletic specimen. So we are a little hesitant. Well, I should say I am a little hesitant to kind of bump him up too much after the combine because, yeah, we knew he was athletic. Here he is showing he's an athletic freak. We already knew that. Why are we like now over the moon about it? Now, him being an athletic freak versus him like breaking records, there is like another level there that was very impressive by him. But what was your thought watching Sadiq and Stowers, guys that we knew were athletes, really prove just how athletic they were by breaking records at the combine? And did it move the needle for you in terms of where they are ranked in your overall rankings?
It did, because it moved the scouts' needles, right? Like, I think it had to. When, there's this overarching thought process, and I'm part of it as well, and I know you guys are with me, that the combine is becoming a little bit eye-rolling because guys are just not doing all of the things, right? Like, no one's running the 3-cone anymore. Hardly anyone's doing the bench. Guys are sitting out the 40 because they know they're not going to be running a great time. They're not doing the broad or the vert if they don't want to. The shuttle is a forgotten art, right? Like, so I heard Dane Brugler talking about this, like, how can Makai Lemon sit up there on the podium and say, I'm the most competitive guy here, and then not compete in anything? So for these guys to go out and do it and look great and set records, I think does move the needle, right? Even in a class where, look, you don't want to count it twice. You don't want to say, hey, look, I knew Eli Stowers was going to be a good receiving tight end. I knew Kenyon Sadiq was a great athlete, but I didn't know to this level, and I think that's fair to say. So it moved the needle for me because you could see the reaction and hear what the scouts were saying about these guys to say that they were very, very impressed. And I think, Sam Roush did all the stuff, and I heard a lot of gushing about him as well. So, I think with those guys in particular, it does move the needle because this class is weak and because I think it kind of reset the expectations on those guys according to the scouts.
Fitz, where are those two, Sadiq and Stowers, for you in the overall rookie rankings right now? Are they both clearly first-round picks? Is Stowers still kind of borderline? I mean, Sadiq's number 1 at the position. Where do they kind of fit for you at the moment?
In Superflex, I have Sadiq 7 and Stowers 10. And, it's funny where I'm like, so, I mean, I think there's not that big a gap between the two of these guys. And one of the reasons I'm why I have Sadiq ahead of Stowers is that I think Sadiq might be better able to play in line, which generally means more snaps. It was pretty interesting at the combine. Sadiq only weighed 2 more pounds than Stowers. So, and I know Sadiq is a better blocker, but maybe he won't be able to play in line full time at his size. I mean, he's 6'3". He's actually an inch shorter than Stowers. He's 6'3", Stowers 6'4". So it kind of depends where he goes. I might even squeeze these guys closer together than that. I mean, one of these two guys won the John Mackey Award, and it wasn't Kenyon Sadiq.
Stowers is 2 years older for what it's worth, but Sadiq just turned 21 actually yesterday. As of this recording,
yeah, which is appealing for sure that Sadiq was able, and maybe like that's kind of one of the knocks that Sadiq did not put up crazy good numbers, but that would be more worrisome if he were 22 or 23 and was not dominating against younger competition, but instead like he was going up against guys typically older than he was. So, yeah, I don't want to badmouth Kenyon Sadiq at all. He's a really interesting prospect. I don't think he's on the level of Loveland and Tyler Warren last year, but still a fantastic prospect.
Who is tight end 3 and where is tight end 3 in your overall rankings? If Sadiq and Stowers are both inside your top 10 in the overall rankings, who is number 3? And Bogman, I'll start with you. You mentioned Sam Roush from Stanford. Is he tight end 3? And if so, where is he going for you?
Yeah, he's 3 for me, and I have him. I need to move him up from where I have him, but I'll have him probably at like 25. So, and I have those guys in a Superflex at 7 and 11, Sadiq and Stowers. So, yeah, for me, it's a pretty big drop off. But I did, the more and more I watch Sam Roush and the fact that he competed and everybody, I mean, he also was great, right? And moved great. But the more I watch him, I feel like there's Hunter Henry there. So maybe not a massive amount of upside, but a pretty good, steady, long-term contributor. So Sam Roush is going to be number 3 for me.
Fitz, who's 3 for you, and where are they ranked?
I've got Max Klare, but I've got him down at 37 overall in Superflex. Max Klare, we didn't get to see him do all that much for Ohio State last year because, well, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate took up a lot of oxygen as far as the pass catching for the Buckeyes. But when he was at Purdue, like he was a force as a pass catcher. I just think he's got a lot of pass catching upside. Roush is 4 for me. He was the eye opener at the combine, and he's generally regarded as the best blocking tight end in the class. But then he went out and tested like a champ, which makes it suggest that he's got some pass catching upside too.
So you have these guys as like round 4 picks in rookie drafts and Superflex.
I mean, if you just want
draftable,
if you just want to go fishing,
I
mean, there are like a lot of interesting guys in this this tight end class who could pan out. Like I know a lot of people are excited about Michael Trigg, although the tape isn't real exciting on him. Tanner Koziel is sort of.
I love Tanner Koziel. Yeah, Trigg too. Trigg is one of those guys that's just rocked up and looks like he should be amazing, and then you, like Fitz said, watch him and you're like, why are you not better?
Justin Jolly is another guy like that who looks like he should be fantastic, and maybe he could be or whatever. And I got to put in a word for my guy Riley Nowakowski since we went to the same high school. Indiana's tight end last year. I've got him at like tight end 10. I don't think I'm going to be drafting Riley even in 5-round rookie drafts.
Is Fitz like sneaky a Hoosiers fan instead of the Badgers? He's all over Indiana so far.
Hard to not be infatuated with Indiana
with this
year
right now,
for sure. And Nowakowski was a big part of that. But yeah, I think Fitz is right. There's a lot of maybes here, and maybes are tough to draft specifically at the tight end position, right? Maybe Jack Andrews makes it. He was better at Cal with Mendoza, right? So he's much better at Cal than he was at Texas last year, but they needed him to block because Texas lost so much on the O-line, so he was blocking a ton. Joe Royer has gotten some love. Oscar Delp has gotten some love. I like Dallin Bentley. Yeah, Dallin Bentley is a lot of fun to watch, and Eli Raridan is a physical specimen as well, and the kid from A&M, Borker, like he had a great combine as well. So there are some names here that are interesting, but the overall tight end class, it's those top 2 guys and then a bunch of lottery tickets.
Bugs, real quick, 2 other guys we should mention. Remember Russell Maryland, the old defensive end from the Cowboys? His son RJ is a tight end in this class.
He had a massive injury. He was like,
oh, did he?
As a freshman, he was unbelievable. Then he had a big knee injury, and that has really set his career back. Because Hibner, who played on that same SMU team, was great at the combine as well.
What about any interest in Jaron Kanek The guy who was, I think he was a former linebacker at Oklahoma. I know. So he's an Oklahoma guy, but the story on him is he was a linebacker and like a special teams ace. Like special teams was kind of his thing.
He's making a team for sure.
He wanted to contribute more, so he talked to the coaches about switching a tight end. Did so successfully, and then he went out and tested great at the combine.
Taysom Hill, play him wherever he's a football player. Just put him wherever you want. So
yeah, he is going to be a special teams ace. I think.
But they're all scratch offs. You maybe you scratch underneath the surface and something's great, but maybe you throw it in the trash.
I think the big takeaway, really, from the whole conversation, not just tight ends, is once you get past the first 10 to 12 picks, like there's gonna be a lot of players drafted who are not on your roster 2 years from now. So just take swings on guys who could be difference makers, because there's gonna be a lot of misses, I think, in rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5 in these rookie drafts.
Opportunity
so I want to
is
shoot for
going to be
upside
so
as much
big.
as I can.
That's really what it is, Worm. Is opportunity is going to be so big, it's going to move the needle on these guys more than it has in any other class. So it's going to be like, are these guys going to be able to contribute early? Because if they are, we're going to be able to see. So I would just rather see, right? Yeah. So I think the landing spot is going to matter more this year than it did last year, and it will next year.
Yeah. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap things up there. Appreciate everybody checking out our post-NFL Combine rookie rankings for Bogman and Fitz. I'm Ryan Wormeli. We'll see you again next time.